Welcome back. Moderna's vaccine breakthrough. Moderna this morning issuing bombshell news earlier when it said that their vaccine is more than 94% effective. The vaccine for COVID-19 news has the stock up 15% right now. Joining me right now is the CEO of Moderna, Stephane Bancel. Stephane, it's great to have you this morning. Congratulations to you and all of the phenomenal work your scientists have done. Tell me about it.
Yeah, good morning, Maria, and thank you for having us. So we are very excited to announce this morning that the vaccine, at its first interim analysis of a phase 3, the real test, placebo control, has shown 94.5% efficacy. But the piece that I'm most excited about, Maria, is the fact that for severe disease, we had 11 cases, and all those 11 people were on placebo, meaning people who got our vaccine did not get any severe disease, which is, of course, a game changer.
That is an incredible game changer. It shows that signs of being safe as well. Can you tell me what you've learned from this trial and what happens next?
Yeah, so the safety is very similar to what we published in our phase 1 study. You have some transient self-resolving side effects, either local at the site of injection, a bit of pain, a bit of redness. Some people have a bit of headache, a bit of fatigue, and that's it. It's all self-resolving with no medication. What comes next is, in the coming weeks, we will finalize the study. It was 151 cases for the full study. Today, we announced 95 cases for our first interim analysis. And then we will file this to the FDA to try to get an emergency use approval. We have had, of course, discussion with the FDA all along, and we are hopeful in the coming weeks to file this, and if the FDA deems appropriate, to get the vaccine in the hands of people that need it, the elderly, people at high risk, through working with the CDC.
So that would be the priorities once you do have that wider use. What is your timetable, Stephane, in terms of getting that wider use for this vaccine?
Yeah, so this emergency use approval, I think, could happen in December. And then I think we are more talking in Q1, in the first quarter, to have a full approval where, every American who wants a vaccine that is of 18 years of age or above can get access to the vaccine. We are very soon going to start a study in teenagers, and I'm hopeful that we might get the result by the summer. So if a vaccine is proved to be effective and safe in children, that they could get potentially vaccinated next summer, so that as they go back to school in September 21, they are back to school in a normal lifestyle.
That is phenomenal news, Stephane. Let me ask you, were the people in the trial already sick? Because I know that what we have here is news that this COVID-19 vaccine can prevent getting sick, right? You can prevent it.
Exactly. It's a vaccine, Maria. So you give it to healthy people. We tested the participants before they got their first dose to make sure they were not sick with COVID. So we did all the testing. And what we waited for, and that's what you do in vaccine testing, you wait for cases, you wait for people getting the virus and getting disease, and you basically compare the people that get the vaccine versus the people that get placebo. This study was 30,000 people, 15,000 people got the vaccine, 15,000 people get the placebo, and we just waited. And because there are so many cases in the country now, that this went very, very fast. Last Wednesday, we announced that instead of having 53 cases for the first analysis, we actually ended up this morning having 95 cases. So the study is almost finished.
What about the refrigeration part of this? It needs to be freezing cold, and that gives a longer shelf life. Tell me about the refrigeration and how that will work with the distribution.
Yes, that's one of the other great news of this morning that actually we learned on Friday at the company, which is the vaccine has 6 months of shelf life in a regular freezer, minus 20 Celsius, like the freezer you have at home to store, your frozen food and your ice creams. Those freezers are widely available at pharmaceutical distribution centers because they are FDA-approved products that require minus 20 storage. So that's not a problem. The thing we're very excited is we used before to have data for 7 days for stability in a regular fridge. And now we have, as of this morning, 30 days of stability, meaning a month, where you can take the product out of a freezer, let's say in a big distribution center, like McKesson, who's going to do distribution for the US government, and then you put it in the fridge, regular fridge, like you store insulin at your local CVS or Walgreens or pharmacy or doctor. So that's a big, big change in terms of the usability of a product that we are very excited about.
So Stephane, tell me about the grades. It's actually a shot, right? This is an injection?
Yes, it's like a typical vaccine. You clean your arm with a bit of product to make sure you don't get contaminated. You inject the vaccine and you put a little Band-Aid and that's finished. You don't need any device. It's like when you get your flu shot, at the local CVS or Walgreens, it's going to be the same thing.
Fantastic. Sir, did you take it? Did you try it as well?
I have not tried it yet because as part of developing medicines, it is unethical for an employee of a company to be part of a study because, the thinking is that we might not report side effects. But as soon as I'm allowed to take it, I'll want the vaccine. So does my wife and my daughter, who is already 18 years of age. My younger one, who is 16, is kind of not happy that she cannot get the vaccine yet. She will have to wait for the summer.
That is so fantastic. So you're talking about 20 million doses or 10 million courses. This is 2 shots per course. Walk us through it.
Yes. So we're going to have 20 million doses by the end of the year. But if you think about it, you can give a prime dose, the first dose, to 20 million people. Because by the time they need their boost in January, we will have more vaccine made. And so they will get their boost from another batch of product that we will send to the US government.
This has the edge on the Pfizer news as well. I mean, of course, we want a nice competition in terms of having plenty of options here, but the refrigeration temperature for up to 30 days and room temperature once thawed for up to 12 hours, that's actually even more effective than what we heard from Pfizer last week. Is that right?
So our vaccine, I think, is very user-friendly now. Before, at 7 days, was a bit tight, but it was workable. Now with 30 days in a fridge, I think for the nurses and the doctors, it's going to make life much easier. And also, I think it's going to reduce wastage. One of the things I worry about is given we're not going to have enough vaccines in the first few months of the year because all of us are making as many as we can, but not enough for every American right away, is I worry about wasting. And so I think this is going to be a very important tool. So it's user-friendly for the nurse and doctors, and we reduce waste.
I love what you said in the release about safety. A couple of things to point out that we should is that while it's very small numbers, the secondary endpoint of severe cases is encouraging. You said all 11 occurring in the placebo group, and the safety looks relatively clean. Tell me about the safety of this drug as well.
Yes, of course. And the safety, obviously, with vaccine is really important because you give vaccine to healthy people. So this is really our number one priority. And as you say, Maria, if you look at the data, and I had the chance yesterday when the independent NIH-led data safety monitoring board reviewed the data, and we were able to see the placebo data versus the data people getting the vaccine. And what you see is at the second dose, you have a bit of side effect locally, a bit of pain, a bit of redness for a day or two. It goes away by itself. And in terms of systemic side effects, some people have a bit of a headache. It's nice to note that the fever level is less than 2% of people get fever. It's actually 1.4%, so very, very low. And so it's like a typical vaccine. When you have a bit of side effects, they will self-resolve without even taking medication. Like when you get a flu shot and you don't feel great, go to bed, get a glass of water or a cup of tea, and the next day you'll be fine. It's actually a good thing. My immunologist always remind me that having a bit of immune reaction is a good signal that your immune system is working because the vaccine is being activated.
Yeah, you want to know that. It's a nice reminder there, right? So talk to us about the manufacturing ramp-up that you no doubt are going to have, Stephane. You said that you are going to be applying for emergency usage in the coming weeks. What does that mean? 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What's your timeline? And then walk us through the ramp-up in manufacturing and distribution that you're expecting.
Yeah, so in the next few weeks, it's tough to really know precisely at this stage, Maria, just because we need to count cases in the study before we have a 151 case, so it's tough to be precise. And then what you want to ensure is that we have time to do good quality control check of all the data that we will submit to the FDA, because of course this is extremely important, and quality of a vaccine review process is fundamental for the public trust. And so we want to be careful to go fast, but not to rush or make mistakes, of course. So, and the FDA will review, and I expect in a few weeks we will be able to get approval.
Stephane, it's really fantastic news. Thank you so much. And a big thank you to all of your scientists and wonderful people working on this. Great to have you this morning, sir. Stephane Bancel with the incredible news from Moderna. We'll be right back.